That's a 45 RPM RCA record changer.
Hi folks, I'm Jay with Two Guys in a Ride here September 2024 in beautiful Shorewood, Minnesota. I'm here with Randy Geyer. And tell us, Randy, what are we showcasing today?
This is a 1961 DeSoto. Some people refer to it as an adventure, but technically it's not. In 1961, DeSoto just made DeSotos. They made them in 2-door and 4-door only. No convertibles, no station wagons. This car is actually one of 911 2-door hardtops built that year in 47 days of production.
Oh my.
They also made a 4-door, and they made about 2,000 of those.
So first thing I noticed, Randy, is that the DeSoto is the only thing highlighted in gold.
Yeah, isn't that something? The first time I saw a car like this, not this specific one, but a car similar to it, I thought, what in the heck did they do with the grille there? It is kind of the oddest looking grille I had ever seen. The canted headlights, kind of like a dual grille kind of setup, and the top one being gold. It has grown on me, and now I just think it's absolutely outstanding.
It looks like it's grown on the car too. As we wrap our way around, I notice this little star shape on the hubcap here, and just the flow as it goes back towards with the fin. So, can you tell us more about that?
I think that the wheel covers really are elegant looking. It kind of looks like a car to me that would be a car you might go out for a night on the town in. You know, you'd have your girlfriend or your wife and everybody looking charming and lovely. Maybe your wife and your girlfriend. At any rate, I think it's a look that grows on you with the big high tail fins and just all the chrome and it's just an outstanding automobile, I think.
No, yeah, I absolutely love the fins. I'm a huge fan of fins on any type of car. So this to me already is a favorite of mine. And then I love the big DeSoto here on the trunk, showcasing it.
Yeah, I like that, and I like the ribs on the trunk lid too. Also, what's interesting is for a car that was only made for 47 days of production, the fact that they actually went to the trouble of designing tail lights, and like we talked about the grille a minute ago, that are unique to this car. They weren't on any other Chrysler automobile at all. So they did put some design efforts into this car, even though Chrysler knew full well that this was going to be a very limited production.
It really looks like to me they held nothing back when designing this car. It's a pretty big trunk, Randy. Can we take a look inside, please?
This car has a good, generous sized trunk, as you can see.
My goodness.
It came standard with a vinyl mat in the trunk. Spare tire, of course. The jack is hidden underneath the spare tire there. Here's some sales literature that came along with that was made for the car. There you can see what a 4-door looks like. 4-door hardtop, pillarless, you'll notice. That's the only two styles. I don't remember if I mentioned that. It's the only two styles that they made. This car came with a 361 cubic inch 2-barrel carburetor engine. That was the only engine available, no other options. Unibody construction. And here's your owner's manual for that car.
First question I have to ask is, how many bodies can we fit in the trunk?
Well, I like to say that you could get 6 ex-wives in there if you cut them up properly.
Well, you had mentioned the engine. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah. Make sure I have the keys. My rule is you can't close the trunk till you're looking at the keys.
Safety first.
Or there's going to be problems.
Oh. Beautiful. That's a nifty little feature. So for this style, you don't have to pop it from the inside?
No, and it's all done from the outside, which I guess, yeah, is a little bit unusual. When you went one line up to the Chrysler brand, then you got the remote hood release. Now, as I said, this is the 361 cubic inch 2-barrel carburetor. This car is air conditioning, and this was the first year that Chrysler products had alternators rather than generators, with the exception of the Plymouth Valiant had an alternator in 60. But none of the rest of the Chrysler line had alternators until 61, when they became standard. The battery in here, of course, is modern and incorrect. I have correct batteries, but I use this battery for just driving around town. This car also has what a lot of people would call cruise control, but Chrysler called this autopilot. Another unusual feature of the car. Power brakes, accordion style, and that booster actually does move, and it squeezes when you apply the brakes. Power steering, power brakes. This car has power windows.
All right, Randy, let's take a look inside here. Now, first thing that I notice is the height difference between the driver's seat and the passenger seat.
Yeah, that
And
was something that Chrysler did that was kind of unusual, and I'm not exactly sure why. But they did that since around, I'm going to guess here, but around 57 or 8 or 9, somewhere around in there. They called it the high-low seat. And I'm not sure what the exact purpose was, but it sort of made the driver feel like the captain of the ship, I guess.
now, and then the second thing I've noticed is the difference in the texture and fabric as well. Is there a reason for that?
Well, the only thing I can figure is they must have perhaps done it for wear purposes. But that is exactly factory correct, and that's the way the factory did them. But why, I don't know. And this was the only year they did such unusual seats where they did different upholstery right where you sit. So, but all the upholstery in here is exactly factory correct and authentic. This also is a 6-way power seat. So it goes forward and back, up and down, and then tilt 2 different ways. 6-way power, they called that. Like I mentioned, this car has air conditioning. And let me hop inside of here.
All right, Randy, now let's take a look at this beautiful dashboard. The first thing I notice is that it is intricate. It has everything.
It does. This car has a lot of power accessories on it and features. One thing we'll maybe start at the top on this side. You notice that these turrets, I call them turrets, they tilt up and down, and so that they're somewhat directional. Now for 61, that was a change because previously on Chrysler products with air conditioning, the turret was round and you could rotate it as well as point it up and down. These ones you can't rotate. But so an interesting change, I'm not sure why. Moving along, it has Mirror-matic, Chrysler called that. That's another option on the car for a few extra dollars. What that does is it senses, there's a little dot on that mirror if you can see it, and that's the sensor that senses a car behind you and its headlights, and then it'll rotate that mirror slightly to so it isn't so blind, so it doesn't reflect right in your eyes. It's got a little tiny motor in there that does that, and you can hear it go eek, eek, eek when it changes the mirror. It's really cool. This one actually works, which is highly unusual. The rest of the dash, has this V shape, which is just kind of space age looking, and here's your controls for heat and air conditioning. To get heat, you slide this over, pull that out, and that turns the fan on high and low. We have gauges for engine temperature, fuel level, oil pressure, those types of things. We have a rotating clock right in the center of the dash that goes around in a 360-degree circle. Here's our drive controls where we have reverse, neutral, drive, second, and first. We just select each one. There is no park option, of course, on all the Chrysler products that had push-button transmissions. There was never a park option. You would put it in neutral and you would set the emergency brake or the parking brake, depending on what you want to call it, to park. We have headlights and wipers, and there's a brake light to remind you you have your e-brake on so you don't go driving around with it on. We have a rear defroster. We have the control for the what is that for? Oh, floor air. Lighter here, I guess. Yeah. Voila. And lighting to turn on all the panel lights and interior lights. So on the radio is these little triangles with a circle around them. That was part of the Conelrad system, it was called, back in the early 50s, as I recall, 53 if I'm not mistaken, and went all the way into the 60s. Every car radio had that, and that was to designate where to tune on your radio dial in the event of a nuclear attack. Some of you younger people won't remember, but when I grew up, we were deathly afraid that Russia was going to attack us and drop nuclear bombs on us. And we had drills that we did in high school or in junior high and elementary school, and learned how to duck and cover and try to save ourselves in that event. But that's where you would turn on your radio, and they would broadcast emergency signals on what to do during the nuclear attack. They would broadcast on one of these for 5 minutes, and they'd switch off and they'd go to the other one for 5 minutes. Switch off, go back to that one for 5 minutes. And the reason for that was so that the Russians or Japs, whoever's going to drop bombs on us, can't hone in on the signal and figure out where to drop their bombs at. So that was the purpose for switching the stations all the time. Interesting days back then. Below the dash, we have an RCA Victor 45 RPM record changer. Now this, unfortunately, it opens from the bottom, so I can't show you a whole lot of the mechanics of it. But what it is I can stack 14 records in there. They go in from the bottom and they push up and they stick, and there's a tone arm that goes underneath, so it plays the bottom of the bottom record, essentially. Plays on the bottom. When that record is done, the tone arm moves away, that record drops, and the tone arm comes over again automatically and plays the next record. So it'll play a total of 14 records and drop them one at a time. That is also a factory installed option that this car came with.
So I notice here, Randy, that when the sunlight comes through, it shines through the speedometer. Is that typical for Chrysler?
They did that in 60 and 61. I have a 60 Dodge Dart that has the same type of speedometer. And it is kind of cool because it makes it look light. You see when I put my hand back here, that's nothing but just a piece of plastic where the sunlight will shine through it and light it up and make it, so you can read it. And then it's just a needle speedometer where the needle advances. But yeah, it's kind of cool. They put a little shroud on here to keep the glare down, and yeah. Got a nice steering wheel. There are no cracks in that. Whoops, there's a big crack. Sorry. Never noticed it before. But yeah, kind of a pretty steering wheel, and yeah. I think this dash trim is absolutely beautiful. And in this car, it happens to be in perfect condition.
So for a last run car, they really held nothing back.
They didn't. Yeah, it's surprising. We got chrome roof bows and a nice vinyl top with perforated vinyl. Very, very nice. Really a very elegant car. Power windows.
I was gonna say, that really surprised me the most, is seeing power windows in a vehicle this old.
Yeah,
Front and back.
yeah,
Can we take it for a spin?
absolutely. It's a nice day. We might as well.
Oh, no, yeah. I have to remember that these cars are made of metal and not plastic like today.
It really is a very nice riding car. Quiet, powerful.
I could definitely see myself back in the 60s taking my date out in this.
To the drive-in movie theater. Give you a little toot on the horn.
That's a horn.
That's a horn.
Two-part harmony, A note and an F note.
What was the going price for these back in the day, Randy?
I believe, from what I've looked up on the internet, right around $3,200 to $3,500, depending on options and things like that. So DeSoto, I forgot to mention, in the Chrysler lineup was, depending on how you look at it, either second or third from the top. The top of the line in the Chrysler product line, the most luxurious, was Imperial. However, Imperial, since 1955, was its own mark. Some people refer to them as Chrysler Imperials, but technically that's not what they are. From 55 on, they were just Imperial. Now, down from Imperial, then Chrysler would, the brand name, the car name Chrysler, would have been their top of the line automobile, with DeSoto one step down, and then Dodge one step down from that, and Plymouth would round out the economy series of cars. So you could say it's most comparable to GM cars. So Plymouth would be comparable to, say, Chevrolet, and Dodge would be comparable to Pontiac or Oldsmobile. And then you have DeSoto, which would compare to Buick, perhaps. Uh, and Imperial, of course, went head to head with Cadillac. And then you had Chrysler brand automobile, which was right up there at the top too. So I guess it would compete with Buick. Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. I don't know that I said that exactly right, but I'm sure the viewers will be happy to correct me.
So, Randy, did you buy this as is? Have you restored it? What have you done to it? What else can you tell me about the car?
I bought this already done. I really haven't done anything to it other than just tweak a few things that weren't working quite right. I've only owned this car for about 2 years, and I bought it from a fellow in Kentucky. I found it in an ad in the DeSoto Club magazine and called him up, and we made a deal, and I went and bought it. So he was the restorer of the car, and as I recall, it took him about 8 years to get the work done, and then he decided to sell it.
And is everything original other than the battery we had mentioned earlier?
Yeah, everything is original the way the factory built it.
I bet you get a lot of looks in this thing, huh?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, it does. Big black, kind of looks like the Batmobile in a way.
I see you're a real big fan of the fins, just like me. What got you into this style of vehicle?
I just think that it kind of showed off an era of American history that was flamboyant and some say excessive. Not only with the fins, but with the chrome and all these kind of things. It just indicated a strong and mobile America that, happens once in a lifetime. I think it just reflects the economy and America's feelings at that time of positivity and excitement for the future and all those types of things.
Well, thank you, Randy. Thank you for showcasing your beautiful DeSoto with us, and thank you for taking us out on a ride today. We
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Jay. It was fun.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.